And welcome back to the Splitting Hairs podcast presented by Jackrabbit Illustrated. Here we are, another Victory Sunday, the best kind of Sundays in college football. And, it's the end of the non-conference regular season, and we are on to the Missouri Valley play, the grinder. So, Kyle, how the heck are you doing today?
Feeling good. 1-0 going into a new week in Stout Valley competition. So it's always better to, be on the right side of the win column as opposed to the alternative. And we'll see how the boys, recover from this and segue into a new, really stiff competition this upcoming week.
Yeah. All right, and before we dive into recapping the game against Butler, we have to thank our title sponsors, Drake's Place of Bowdle and Cottonwood Coffee of Brookings, worldwide, actually. But thank you, Drake's Place. I've been following their Facebook, and I know they did like some loaded fries on Friday that, I can't imagine. They didn't post a picture of them, but just all the pictures of the other food they've been posting looks amazing. So if you find yourself in Bowdle, South Dakota, stop by Drake's Place, get the goodies you need for the road, or spend a little more time and get something to order from the kitchen, and tell them that the Jackrabbit Illustrated Splitting Hairs crew sent you. So thank you again for your sponsorship. We really appreciate it. Kyle, you want to talk about Cottonwood a little bit?
Yeah, Cottonwood Coffee has the bistro off 6th, and then they have obviously Cottonwood Coffee on Main. Great place to study. I know they're extending their hours during the week for evening appetizers, meals, drinks, what have you. Great place to study, get a different ambiance, a little different change of scenery than what you have immediately on campus. They have great coffee. I personally love the Ethiopia roast. Can't get enough of the espresso. And, they do have an online offering. Want to shout out to them for creating a little discount code for all Jackrabbit Illustrated Splitting Hairs listeners. So I want to say we get 10% off via the online purchases, right? For anybody who sends code JI22. So that's any listener to our podcast. Give the code JI22 at online purchases. So purchases of $10 or more, you'll get 10% off via the online store. So great perk. Love to have them as a partner. Drake's Place in Cottonwood doesn't get any better.
Yeah, there we go. All right. Excellent. Oh, look at that. We all bumped it at the same time. Crazy. All right. So that's awesome. Thanks, Cottonwood. Thank you, Jim Poppin. I don't know if you're listening yet, but you tagged us in Twitter today. You stopped in to get some fuel before you hit the road back home heading west. So thanks for doing that. All right. So we have to revisit this Butler game. So yes, we do. I would just like to talk about the score predictions here, Kyle. Here.
Yeah. What you got? Did you have a good one? Yeah, I feel like this is an omen. Like
Dallas had 35-7. Yeah. Kyle had 31-7. Matt had 42-13. So,
a little gloating from the pod
kind of close. Yeah. Gosh. Take it easy on that. All right. So a 45-17 game. We had some 10 points there in garbage time or garage time. For those of you who are fans of the B team.
Dude, that was so funny. B team, garage time. Love it. Yeah. So garage, AKA garbage time.
Yeah. So let's talk about that, Kyle. I know you had some good thoughts on the game. You posted the quick little recap.
Yeah.
What are your initial thoughts from watching it?
Well, I love the question. Can I back up a little bit into admin stuff? Would love to talk about the marketing effort coupled with our coordination via uniform. So I love, Matt, let's just discuss terminology here, right? So when you were going to watch Packers or Vikings games back in the day, and there was a blackout TV wide, right? The telecast was blacked out. You didn't get to see part of the players, cleats busting across the field. You didn't get to see part of Brett Favre slinging it down the field, or back in the day, Tommy Kramer, if you're a Vikes fan, Randall Cunningham. You didn't get to see part of them. You saw nothing. You saw squat. It was a black box on the screen. You couldn't get the channel.
Yeah.
So we don't wear part white and part black in a blackout. Now, did the uniforms look clean? Do I love those white helmets? Absolutely. Quick segue, Tidewater Collectibles. You can get these all white helmets, custom made, JFPA logo and everything on there. So, but the white helmets mixed with the white pants, mixed with the black shirts, mixed with a team wearing white, it was just a little bit confusing on the telecast. Now we did great. They look sharp, but that is separate from coordinating a solid marketing effort. So when we're talking about that, man, the left hand isn't talking to the right, right? And so what we need to do is just iron out some details a little bit better, give more than 96 hours heads up for people to purchase merchandise to be able to wear and show a true blackout. But other than that, play on the field was lights out for a blackout game, a gray out game, a blackout-ish game. So yeah, that's the uniform rant that I've got for you, Matt. But overall, I love seeing the youth cycle in. We saw a lot of fresh faces, new body cycle, and we saw our offense start to take some rhythm. And then we saw our defense step up in moments with young players making some critical plays. Specifically, the Aiden Dotterman tip to Reeder comes to mind. The lateral snatch comes to mind in terms of recovering the fumble on the backward pass. A lot of good plays all the way around. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm so glad you brought up the youth. You know me, I love looking at roster building and recruiting and all of that. Offensively, I mean, Angel Johnson, a week after a fumble, he's got a little shake back there. I am excited about his future. He's converting from playing 9-man wide receiver to running back. I think there's something there.
Definitely. No, his ability to get the ball in space and kind of just, make some people miss. Obviously, he's got low surface area. He's more of a smaller, compact back. But like Dallas said, jacked. I don't think there's an ounce of body fat on the kid, which, sets itself up well for, explosive plays because he's got that burst. And then Burhai did a great job spelling, getting some reps. The Stillwater native had a teammate, Eric Schroeder, who's a great defensive lineman from Stillwater, Minnesota. Great player in his own right. So we have a good tradition coming from there. Burhai, obviously, it was publicized that during the COVID year, Minnesota opted not to play that season at the high school prep level. He transferred to Brookings, was able to have a really great season behind some talented offensive line, and then got an opportunity as a walk-on at South Dakota State. So love seeing guys make the most of their effort.
Hey, thanks everyone for the comments on the uniforms. Jordan Fink, glad you're back. You've been hanging out with the B team a lot, so I'm glad you're back with the A team. So thanks for being here tonight, and everyone else too. I'm glad you brought up Aiden Dotterman because what a roller coaster. He makes that sensational play, tips it, Kale intercepts it, just beautiful. But then how cool is it though to have a game like this where he can get in and take some lumps also because he got hit on that back shoulder for a big gain, got the kind of phantom pass interference where he was face guarding, but he literally did not touch the receiver on that. And I mean, that's kind of the highs and lows of playing the cornerback position. So for him to get some live reps against starters, because those were Butler's starters, and kind of figure some stuff out, those are so valuable towards his future success. We have 2 senior corners leaving next year. So
no doubt. Yeah. And obviously he came in highly touted out of Wisconsin. The kid can play some ball. He does really well staying in phase in the hip poppers, does a really good job carrying him downfield. I think the big thing with him, he's young, so it's growing pains, right? It's going to come with the territory as he's starting to acclimate to the different calls, the communication that we've got. He did a great job on Saturday, as well as a number of young guys getting time. I believe Matt Zimmer posted we had 73 different players cycling in and out and get playing time for the Jacks. That's astronomical. That doesn't really happen. So, and there's a number of ways, I'm sure we'll get into it, but I'd like to touch on it. There's a number of approaches and philosophies going into this game where you could start your main 2 deep make sure they get the bulk of the reps, secure the game, and really iron out some details. Or you could use this as a quote unquote tune-up game, get everybody depth, get everybody reps, and start to build your roster out that way. I think the Jacks did a really good job in retrospect building out the roster.
Yep, I agree. Some other raves that I want to get to. I mean, I'm excited about this depth. We got other stuff to talk about today. One player that is just really, I don't know, turning my head. I didn't expect anything out of him this year, to be frank, is Max Balloon on the interior there.
Yep.
I know right now he's rotating pretty heavily at that defensive tackle spot, but the dude is 6'6", went from 245, and Coach Smith told me he's 275 now. And he is just causing havoc in there when he's in there. You can tell he's still trying to figure it out a little bit too. He's young and getting his first real taste of game action. But shoot, we're even with losing Williams for however long he's out, we're still 4 deep, and I feel comfortable with any of those 4 at defensive tackle right now.
Yeah, so, Matt, you bring up a great point, and we're going to really need our chain gang to step up, and we're going to need their A+ effort this weekend, because we're going to need to get Shelley off his spots, uncomfortable throwing downfield, although it does seem like he's most comfortable in those situations. So the rubber's going to meet the road there. But yeah, I mean, he did a great job stepping up. I saw Zach Wilson getting push and getting play on a Butler offensive line. But yeah, Balloon's length really causes fits. He's playing with good leverage. I did notice that as well. And then obviously, who knows, is kind of cryptic in terms of the injury situation, but it does sound like we're going to have a significant contributor out this week that we needed to have ready for this game. So our D-line is really going to need to step up.
Some other guys on defense, let's just stick there for now, because for the most part, it was a really great effort. Dayton Mcgoy, going from 3rd on the depth chart. We talked about this last week, but man, he looks so good out there. We'll get to it later, but I gave him my game ball on defense. I'm really impressed with him.
I just like how he's playing, Matt. That's a good point. I'm glad you brought him up. I feel like the energy he plays with, his decisiveness when he keys in on his main reads. I think he's just playing with reckless abandon that you need on the defensive side of the ball. I think other people are feeding off of his energy, because obviously with guys being out and him spelling other players, such as Stallbird and so on and so forth, I think he really just brings an added level of athleticism that we need with depth, right? So it'll be interesting to see what happens, when we're at full strength.
Yeah. Hey, Chad, good point here. This is something I've always prided myself on at our stadium, is just making our guests feel welcome. We don't want to be like Philadelphia and beat up opposing fans when they show up. We want to welcome them and just talk some ball and welcome them to Brookings. So, yeah, I like doing that.
And shout out to the fans, man. Scott Wagner and some other folks posted on Twitter screenshots of the whole home side, and obviously the east side stands of the visitors really look packed. Student section looks like they're showing out. I posted on Twitter today, I really love seeing pride in the program swell and full attendance start to roll out. So let's keep doing that. It makes a big impact on the game. Obviously can make a big impact in terms of execution on the field when offensive lines are trying to get the plays in and their cadence and snap count down. So keep making an impact. Great job, fans. Excellent job. Keep it rolling.
Yeah. Anything else to say about the defense, Kyle, or should we flip over to the offense?
Yeah, I think the defense did well, all things considered. I would have liked to see them get off the field more on 3rd down. There were too many, I believe, 3rd and manageable situations. Now that's setting the expectation really high. In wanting all guys who are rolling in and out of there to be able to execute their 111th. But moving into Missouri State at Plaster Field, we're going to need to get into more advantageous situations with the chains. We don't need 3rd and short, 3rd and medium situations. We need them in 3rd and long. And then we need to do our best in scramble situations. I mean, they always talk about offensive scramble rules. Well, what about defense? Hopefully Jimmy is taking the guys through defensive scramble rules this week and making sure when Shelley breaks the pocket, breaks contain on the cup, we do what we can to latch on and be sticky to our receivers.
Yeah. They were 9 of 15. I just went and checked quick. 9 of 15 on third down. Not good. Too much.
Way too high. Yep.
Even with some of the garage time yardage at the end. So yeah.
And for all those listening, just want to keep it in context. They did do a really good job schematically. They moved the pocket with their 5'7", 5'8" quarterback Bushka. He was a savvy little player. And Matt made several comments. There's a couple players on there we may want to recruit and bring into the portal.
Right.
And I don't disagree with that. And I think the strategy for recruiting is going to evolve considerably here, and we're going to start to poach at all levels. So keep an eye out for that, and just keep an eye out for that moving forward as we recruit.
Yeah. So yeah, I loved their quarterback, and I loved their cornerback number 1, who's a true freshman from North Carolina. So Jim, let's go back to your comment quick. The corn stalks in the student section was awesome. Agreed. It looked great.
It looks so cool, and it looks so true to the region, right, Matt? I mean,
exactly.
you're a farmer yourself. How was it?
Well, I'm a former farmer. I thought it was cool. I was watching on TV, and I don't know, the shoes and boots in the air, and then the corn stalks flying in the air. I thought that was great. So
how long has the shoe tradition been a part of the kickoff?
3-4 years or so.
Love that.
I don't know, maybe
keep that going. That's cool.
I think that was a pre-COVID thing. So this one, Jason Freeman. How could I go 16 minutes into the show without talking about Jason Freeman? That dude is awesome. How was he at? I mean, this just shows that players fall through the cracks at all levels and wind up at spots that they shouldn't. Like this is a Division I football player. Maybe it's because of his size he was under recruited, because he is 5'9". Maybe he filled out in the last couple of years at Nazarene and got up to this 220 or whatever he's playing at. But man, this is a football player. He is good in the run game, good in the pass game. And when he hits, you can tell that they feel it. They know that they're getting hit by Jason Freeman. Man alive. Oof.
Yeah, no, you can tell. And it's a credit to his preparations, a credit to Coach Rogers for noticing him. And the rest of the staff taking a chance on him. Obviously, you mentioned his size. That'll overlook you real quick. Right, wrong, and different. It just happens. People are looking for the pedigree, 6 foot to 6'3", 210 to 220 pound linebacker at this level who can run sideline to sideline. But you know what? The kid is a football player. I don't care. Give me the best 11. I don't care what they look like. If they'll knock your head in the dirt, then that's all I need. And Freeman's shown that he's willing to rise up no matter what the competition is. I mean, hell, he did it against Iowa, he did it against UC Davis, and then he sure as hell showed up against Butler. His hands were in the passing lanes, whether or not he was getting rushed in the quarterback, flushing them out of the pocket. He was doing a great job. So we need him to step up and continue to bring it like that, as well as the other linebackers, Bach, so on down the line, to make sure, Peyton Schaefer, we need everybody to step up. We need all hands on deck this week.
Yeah, right. At this point, I mean, the injuries, you're right. Hold on. We got a joker in here. So JSU is America's team. Aren't you guys FBS? Get out of here. This is an FCS chat now. So just kidding. Thanks for being here, Franklin. All right, let's flip over and talk about offense. I think we saw some really good things from the offense, and I know they still have they have a long ways to go, but I think we saw a little more consistency of maybe the flashes that we saw against UC Davis last week.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
No, I think that's excellent, Matt. I'm going to share Jordan's point here too, because my game ball would go to Luan. The reason being is because he has not shown same tendency one time this year in terms of his play calling. It's balanced. We didn't even go for 100 yards rushing in this past game against Butler, but we just took what was available when it was available, and we capitalized on it. I think that our approach moving forward is going to be to start to try to get Mark into a rhythm early. I mean, obviously that's the approach every game throughout the year, but I think he thrives either when he gets a run early and he can start to get into the flow of the game, which is my philosophy, obviously. But I think also he thrives when he hits quick, short passes early, whether it be a slant, whether it be a quick screen, whether it be, a 5-yard out or something to the tight end. He just thrives under those circumstances because it really gets his internal clock synced up with what's happening around him.
Agreed. I just think, that Iowa game, looking back, 3 weeks or whatever it is, again, that's one of the best defenses in the country, any level. And to ask him to come back after 15, 16 months off in that type of speed, that type of environment, that's asking a lot of anyone. Then you add on the field position that we've harped on, right? I mean, so that game, I think we can just wipe it away. We saw growth in UC Davis, and then I think we saw it go another step this week. So like all the details that you hit on there. So
yeah, and an unfortunately unique experience I have is playing with several different quarterbacks when I was there for 9 years. And, I went everybody from, Ryan Berry to Ryan Crawford to Thomas O'Brien to Austin Sumner. The only person I practically didn't play with was Luan and Taryn. So with that being said, when field position was bad, there really wasn't much we could do out of any of those quarterbacks, except for maybe Taryn, who I didn't get to play with his running threat. He's done some insane things against Illinois State, being one of them. I feel like he had like a 97-yard touchdown run. But unless you're an absolutely one-on-one talent, it's going to be very, very difficult to overcome field position. You got to kind of flush that game against Iowa. Last week, again, he's trying to get in rhythm with a piecemeal offensive line, not only on the right side to start the year, but on the right side because of injury. Left side wasn't playing to standard necessarily, at least their expectations. Then you come into this week, Luan does a great job getting Mark into the flow of the game and then just dealing from there. Amar did a great job. I tweeted out at one point, I was like, man, this is just awful tackling. And then I realized, Isaiah is just running like a diesel. He was running through. I mean, I think he broke 2 to 3 tackles each time he touched the rock. Whether or not that's good is tough to tell. I don't know if Butler's scheme was giving us fits a little bit too, but I'm just excited to see us go up against a different level of competition this upcoming week in Missouri State.
Yeah, and that's something with the running game that I touched on. Looking at the stat sheet, have you looked at this? What do you think they averaged, Isaiah and Isaiah? Yeah, what do you think Isaiah averaged?
4.6 yards a carry.
6.7.
Woof.
Right? I would never, it felt like he was getting hit pretty early on his runs.
Yeah.
And that's something I commented on Rants and Raves. It just didn't feel like a clean, it wasn't 100%. It wasn't clicking all the way in the run game execution yet. So
yeah, one thing we do need to point out is since we're touching on offense now is our snaps. Our snaps were phenomenal compared to last week, but at times in terms of timing, there were some where the ball got back there before I think the snap count or the cadence fully progressed. And then there's some things, whether it be communication across the offensive line, comfortability with cadence, and then mesh points at the running back to where we're still disjointed a little bit. I'd like to see that get cleaned up. Also, the best safety net or the best, I would say, governor when you're trying to settle down an offense is your tight end. Zach Hines emerged. We need to continue to leverage him. We need to leverage guys like Kenyon Bauer if he's going to step up in the screen game. The OG from O'Gorman. Jaden has shown like he's ready. He wants the ball out this year. He's been the Yankee that's impressed, in my opinion. So we have these things that are just starting to hit. No better time for them to hit going into conference play.
Yes, definitely. All right. And you want to get to that? You want to get to Missouri State? Anything else for Rants and Raves?
Let's see. Man, I was just really proud of the attendance. I was kind of like, I wanted to be neutral on it and see what happened. Obviously, first game of the year against UC Davis. I mean, we had a great turnout then. Again, just the rant on the marketing. I think it's been all over Twitter, but the left hand needs to talk to the right hand. If we're going to do a blackout game, we need to make sure we have blackout attire for the team. And then we need to give people opportunity from a fan base standpoint to purchase black merchandise. That was another opportunity for them to be able to capitalize monetarily in terms of the university, and then also in terms of the fans to be able to enjoy it and get in sync more with what's going on around them. Outside of that, you got all white helmets. Those look sharp. Pants look great too. The look wasn't my big beef. It was the coordination and the marketing.
Yep. And let's just talk specifics on that, provide specific suggestions. So last year when we played Colorado State and this year when we played Iowa, you follow their accounts and you read their stuff, and you know that they make a concerted effort when they send out season tickets or whatever in August or July, whenever they send out the tickets, saying, this is the orange game, this is the green game, this is the white game, this is like, and that way you can get into the different shops. The really frustrating thing is there was a member of our team, the Jackrabbit Illustrated team and Splitting Hairs team, that went to the bookstore and was talking with not just a student, but an actual employee who had no idea that the blackout game was happening this week, like on Tuesday, I think it was. That's unacceptable. And that's I don't know how that doesn't mesh. So that has to be improved for sure.
Yeah. And so just I'm wearing this black South Dakota State Under Armour shirt from Shields. Shields has some great Jackrabbit merch. If you can't get your merch from the bookstore, obviously Shields does a great job. I mean, I think bottom line, I don't care what we wear. I genuinely don't. And I know there's a lot of conservative folks in South Dakota. They couldn't care less what the boys wear on Saturday. But I will tell you this, it makes a difference in recruiting and it makes a difference in marketing. So if you want to get the best players that you possibly can at South Dakota State, whether they're from Spearfish or they're from, South Florida, doesn't matter. We need to be on target. And like Coach Stig says, leave nothing to chance. We'll leave nothing to chance when it comes to outfitting the players too, guys. It's not rocket science. Every other program in the nation at the FBS level does it, right? And if you want to understand a way to do it, we've done it before at South Dakota State, where at the scholarship auction in the spring, we auction off jerseys. We've done it before. We just need everybody to be as passionate as Jackrabbit Illustrated is here at the Splitting Hairs podcast. We need them to be as passionate about doing their jobs in the marketing department at South Dakota State.
Yep.
Because we're not paid for this, Matt. I don't know if people know that. We're not paid for our opinions. Maybe Star should be.
Yeah, right. And folks, I do want to say, if you do feel really strongly about something, I love that you share it with us. But also email Justin, friend of the pod, email Slade, email Jeff Home. Those guys are great. I emailed Justin on Monday after the podcast on Sunday night when I was a little upset, and he emailed me back by 2:00 that day. Later in the week, I think it was Thursday, got a phone call from Slade Larshield, the associate athletic director, and we had a good conversation about some of the stuff that I had talked about and some of the ideas we had shared. And so really a constructive and hopefully productive conversation. They had definitely heard the fans' experience with concession, with beer, with egress, heading into the Highway 14 bypass. And some of those changes already took place. So they're trying. They are trying. We have to give them credit for that. So
yeah, definitely not an indictment on the athletic department. Just saying, in retrospect, if we want to do things right, let's do it in advance.
Yep.
Let's get it to where we can market it, and let's move forward. Want to know?
Yep. So Scott, yes, this is what Kyle is saying. That and I'm saying too, if we know the dates for these games ahead of time, sure, we would love to sell stuff. JFBA would love to sell stuff. Our store, Jackrabbit Illustrated, would love to sell black stuff, but we can't guarantee it's going to be delivered with 6 days notice. So that's just what we're asking, is try to get it out ahead of time. So yeah. All right. Game balls. Let's do this. Man, Aaron Jones is looking good, Kyle. I'm watching the Packer game, as we're talking here.
That garbage. Hey, Bears first drive, baby. Bear down.
Yep. All right. Game balls. Offensively, I went with Mark. I just thought he really improved in his stat line. I mean, he had 4 total touchdowns. Yeah. Just played pretty well. So.
I love seeing Mark's legs. I mean, when I see him move, I think I texted group thread though. I think on one of his early runs that he busts for more than 10 yards, I'm like, just go out of bounds. Just go out of bounds. I know you're tough. Kid, I know you're tough. Get out of bounds. We don't really have the depth here, anymore to be able to afford losing him. We just don't. We don't have Chris Oladokin in the wings,
right.
And that's no slight to anybody else. We thought we'd have Chase Mason. We don't have Chase Mason. So keep playing football, but keep playing football and step out of bounds when you can. We get the first.
Yeah, right. Hey, so we have 2 new shirt ideas. Brendan, when you listen to this, we have garage time and
I love garage time.
And we have I love Mark's legs. So that's
there.
All right. Geez, Jordan Fink. All right. Defensively, I already spoiled, my game ball went to Dayton Mcgoy. I thought again he was just terrific out there. So
yeah.
I love his all
personally, offensively, I just want to rewind it a little bit. I'm going to give it to Gus Miller. I think it's very difficult to correct your snap midweek. You got a lot of doubt. The person, all eyes are watching you. The spotlight is literally on you, and you got to do whatever you can to correct that. And he did. Outside of maybe some timing and some a little bit of lag there, I think he did a really good job. So I'm personally going to give him my game ball.
Okay. I like that. As a former center, I like that. So
there you go.
All right. Chad has the quote there. How defensively, Kyle?
Yeah. Defensively could have gone to a number of guys. But I'm going to have to go with Bach. In terms of watching the game, I think he makes everything go. I don't think he showed up in the stat sheet, but I think that he put enough pressure on situations early to kind of tilt the game. So I'm going to go with him.
Sounds good. And special teams, it almost was Feldkamp, and it should have been Feldkamp. You were absolutely right in what you said there. But I went with, and we should talk about that, but I went with Jaden Mueller because we have not had one complaint about the long snaps through 3 games. Yeah. Awesome to have that. Awesome.
No question. And back to my defense real quick, I would say potentially Dotterman or Reeder just on that pick. I feel like that was so spectacular. I really think it tilted momentum. Not that it was in question. Jax really kind of had the game secure at that point too, but it really helped us be able to shift the tide in our direction fully. And then in terms of special teams, man, you hit the nail on the head. New holder back there too. You got to shoot the ball, shoot the laces, make sure you do everything right. Excellent to see Jaden continue to do that. I think in terms of having Tyler back there and being able to actually catch punts, he actually caught punts. So his confidence boosted. There was one he did let drop. So I'd like him to literally visualize catching every punt unless it's absolutely one that he cannot track well. So I would like to see him track the ball a little bit better in practice potentially. But other than that, man, when you house a kick return or a punt return and then get it called back for something bogus on the kicking team, that's frustrating. What were your thoughts on that, man? What did you see?
But it was exactly what you said. The penalty had no bearing on the play. Yeah. And so that's really unfortunate. It's one of those things where
declinable. I wonder, it seems like something you should be able to climb.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, I agree. Yeah. Or else it should have been dead. Right. So
right. Exactly. Is that another thing that should have occurred? Like I was kind of gray on the rule there. Like, why did they let the play transpire if it was an illegal formation?
Yeah, I don't know. We should send it to Miriam to ask or to figure it out for his show with Stig tomorrow. Because that's a good one. Stig would probably know.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Hey, what did I want to talk about? What was the other thing? Shoot.
Your pops here.
No, that's my uncle. That's my Uncle Brian. Your uncle. Hey, Uncle Brian, thanks for watching. All right. All right. On to Missouri State. And Missouri State is 2-1, went toe-to-toe with what is Arkansas? SEC Arkansas.
Top 10 Arkansas, yep.
And Dustin Perman hits the nail on the head.
Yes, he does.
A mobile quarterback concerns me. Me too, Dustin. And it's not so much that Shelley is a threat to break off a 100-yard run, but he can buy time in the pocket and maneuvers all over the place. So, he's awesome with his arm. Want me to go through some stats here quick about their offense, Kyle?
Yeah.
Set it up, and then I'll let you talk.
Yep.
So, Missouri State averages 30 points per game, 307 yards per game passing, 94 yards per game on the ground. They're 40% on third down. And here's the big one that we could see have an effect on the game. through 3 games, they have allowed 17 sacks. 17 sacks allowed in 3 games.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, in terms of their offensive line and their protection, obviously it's suspect. In terms of our pass rush, that's not really the strong suit of our defensive front seven, unfortunately. So in terms of matchups, it's going to be very unique to see which strength wins out. Obviously, our run defense is stout. I think we have the best, if not one of the best, run defenses in all of FCS, potentially in FBS ball too. We just shut down the run, so we can make teams one-dimensional. The only problem there is, can we stick in coverage long enough to prevent the big play, the broken play? What Perman here is saying, in terms of running and mobile quarterbacks, are they going to be able to extend the play and drive first downs and create sustainable drives downfield? Now, when you look at the Arkansas defense, and the Arkansas team overall is the 10th ranked team in all of FBS football. When you look at the complexion of the last game that Missouri State played against them, Arkansas had 3 punts and 3 turnovers, 2 fumbles lost, 1 at the goal line, and then 1 interception thrown. Their time of possession paled in comparison to the Bears of Missouri State, which was 24 minutes to their 35 minutes, almost 36 minutes. So I think, ultimately, if the Jacks are going to prevail on Saturday, obviously we're going to need to win time of possession. We're going to need to play clean. Then we're going to need to be able to rush the quarterback with whoever we have in there, whether it's Quentin Hicks, whether it's Cade Tervier, Balloon, like we talked about. Doesn't matter who's on the field. We need to be able to manufacture a pass rush. Then from there, I think Adam Bach is going to need to be able to do his best job of going wherever Jason Shelley goes. Jason Shelley is clearly a difference maker. I think he's probably one of the best players that's been in the FCS and in the MVFC. So he's really helped Bobby Petrino turn around that program. Got a lot of other good talent around him, which we can get into here, Matt. But I think overall, big thing is going to need to be the same points we say all week: rally tackle, rush the passer, get off the field on 3rd down.
Yep. On that pass rush, what we need to be able to do, though, is be disciplined and not get too far upfield. Rush as a group. That's something that when we've struggled with mobile quarterbacks in the past, that's something that we just get way too far upfield and let them easily break contain, take ourselves out of the play. So
correct. And when you're in man coverage, Matt, too, that's been the issue that's really killed us historically, is we're in man coverage. Everybody bails out. We don't get a pass rush with our interior front 4. And then what happens is we got guys like Easton Stick, potentially the Cam Millers of the world, guys getting out on us because we have nobody in those voids. And we cannot let Jason Shelley do that. So we need to break tendency in that regard. And we need to have Bach, Hawk, Shelley.
All right. Yeah, Agent Zero. That's a good. Hey,
Agent
that's a good
Zero.
one.
Let's
Agent
go.
Zero. Darren, good one.
Is that for McGoy, or is that?
I'm guessing McGoy. Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, I like that, Darren.
All
right. So some other players to know. All conference wide receiver. He was I think All-American, preseason All-American on some lists. Tyrone Scott. I think he goes by Ty Scott now. 19 receptions on the season, 320 yards, 4 touchdowns. And then Booker is their secondary receiver. He's a smaller receiver, 13 receptions and 185 yards. But Scott is a big dude. He's 6'3", 200 pounds, moves really well, really good ball skills. And a player to kind of keep an eye on for them is, he hasn't played yet this year. He was injured in fall camp. But Stetson Moore, he's a tight end transfer from Liberty. And Wyatt Wheeler is the name to follow for Missouri State Athletics this week. And they're really excited about Stetson Moore's potential in the program. So, again, Patino's been good at turning the program around quickly because of these transfers. Liberty's a good program in the G5 conferences. So I'm guessing Stetson Moore is a pretty good player. So good, decent size. Someone to watch if he's healthy that they may look to get the ball to and get him in a rhythm. So we'll see.
Yeah, and from another vantage point offensively, when you're talking rushing for Missouri State, you're talking Jacardia Wright against Arkansas, 14 carries, 37 yards, 2.6 yard average, but he did have a touchdown. Jason Shelley had another one rushing. His net rushing, obviously 14 yards being adjusted for sack yardage that he took. But when you look at receiving, Kayvon Latulis, 5 receptions, 71 yards. That's a huge average. Navion Mitchell, 66 yards on 3 catches, 22-yard average. Ty Scott, like you were saying, Matt, 3 receptions, 65 yards. Jahad Booker. So he's spreading the ball out, 5 receptions, 57 yards. Jacardia Wright again, obviously a rushing threat, but even more so in the passing game, 4 receptions, 37 yards. So he is distributing the football. We're going to be able to stick on our coverage regardless who's in the game. Petrino's going to have a good game plan, so we're going to need to step up this Saturday.
And I'm interested in this Wright. 6 foot 220, I believe, is what I saw.
He's a big boy.
And so that's a load. Yeah. So I'm just interested in seeing what he can do. Remember they had picked up Otis Weah before all the allegations about Weah came out. So that would have been something on that offense.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Karma comes full circle.
Yeah. So our secondary, whoever said that, our secondary is going to have to play. That was Dustin again. Play the best game of the season, and we'll see. We're unsure about who the player that went down is with so many players coming out of the game. There's 2 that we can speculate on. I'm not going to name them now, but there's 2 that we can speculate on that returned this week that may have dropped out, that Stig alluded to in his press conference. But our secondary, we get Dyshawn back, we get Malik back, Reader's back. We hope. And we'll see.
You mean Norblade?
Norblade. Yep. Yeah. Norblade, Reader. We'll see on those 4. If it's Reader those 4 out there, I'll feel okay. Well, he came back this week too, so we don't know.
No, but did he get dinged? I mean, I didn't see him get dinged on Saturday.
No, but I didn't see Caleb Franzel get dinged either. And,
no, Reader's playing. Reader, I don't want to create any alarm. Reader's playing. I don't know about Norblade though. I will say that. I don't know about Norblade.
Yeah.
Splitting hairs. I got to split some hairs.
Yeah, right. So, we'll see. Like our secondary has the potential to be very good, but this is going to be a big test. This is probably the biggest test of the season, I'd say. Shelley is the best quarterback in the FCS right now. So I'll say it right now.
I agree. No, he is the best quarterback in the FCS. I mean, you don't take a number 10 team to the wire midway through the 4th with a 7-point lead. I think ultimately when you look at this team, I think this is going to be a real good measuring stick for the appropriate ranking. We're seeing a lot of these polls. A lot of these polls are mimicking one another. I did rant a little bit about that. I think when you look comparatively against the competition, like the Montanas of the world, you're seeing paltry point outputs. You're seeing absolute cupcakes that they're playing. And in terms of the teams we're playing, not even in the same wheelhouse in terms of the best defense, probably in the Big Ten, if not one of the best in the entire nation. In Iowa, our offensive output was paltry as well. I'll say it. I will not mince words there. But that being said, we still have a better team top to bottom, better roster, I think, than a lot of these other schools that are starting to get momentum on us for nothing, for no reason. So the same arbitrary reason you drop us, you should then drop North Dakota State's, pretty much everybody else who has a close law. I mean, get out of here with that garbage. It's people who've never played football who are sitting here and being armchair quarterbacks, which I can understand.
Hey, Kyle, what is the best way to stop a good offense?
Possess the ball.
Randy Jacobs, how good at they're stopping the run. Good segue. Thanks, Randy. They are not good at stopping the run, Randy. They allow 4.7 yards per carry, 27 points per game, 300 yards per game passing. The one area their defense is pretty darn good at. Opponents only convert on 26% of their third down opportunities. Missouri State has 7 sacks on the year and has forced 3 interceptions. So that's the rundown on their team statistically. They have a couple All-American type players, I'd say. On the defensive line, Ellis at defensive end is a big cat, 6'4", 241. And then Braswell at corner is really good. He was a transfer last year from somewhere too. I forget where, but he was on many of the All-American, All-Conference lists for sure. So, yep.
No, I think one of the big things that we're going to need to be able to do this week is sustain blocks. I think it's going to need to be good on good. Our offensive line is going to need to establish themselves as a new version, new edition of the 605 Hogs, really create an identity this week. No more mix and matching offensive schemes in terms of roster groupings that we like out there on the line. We're going to have to establish the game early and establish control at the line of scrimmage in order to get our offense in rhythm and in flow. When we're in rhythm and in flow, it's because our offensive line is doing their job, protecting Mark at least enough time down the field. Whether or not we connect is a different story, but they need to do their job in giving him a clean pocket to throw from. And then obviously just allowing Isaiah to get off and do his thing. Isaiah is going to get his. If they can just create enough of a dent in the defensive line, Matt, I think we're going to be fine.
Yep, I agree. I think this would be a game where I would love to see Isaiah again approaching 25 carries, 25 plus. I think, Amar, another 10.
Yep.
Like, let's let these 605 Hogs lean on these guys. They're the ones that are coming off of this a huge. That's one thing I'd watch out for. I think if I was a Missouri State fan, a potential letdown and the physical exhaustion of playing 4 quarters with a Big Ten / SEC opponent. We saw it with Iowa. I mean, it just wears on you, So
excellent point, Matt.
Yeah.
No, I think you're spot on. They're going to be depleted emotionally, if not, whether or not you teeter on some positivity, who knows? But they sold out last week to beat a top 10 FBS team, an SEC team. We did not do that. We didn't face a similar foe or opponent by any stretch of the imagination this past week, and that's no slight to Butler, who had some guys. I think the long and the short of it is they're going to need to get up really quick. We're going to need to get some guys healthy really quick. Yes. The rubber's going to meet the road there. And then Zach, Coach Lujan, what type of offensive scheme is he going to put together? What type of game is he going to call? How will our defensive units respond? It's going to be a really interesting game, Matt. This is when we get into the nitty gritty of the season, man.
Yes. 100%. All right. The one thing, that I'm thinking about as well, I haven't scouted their special teams at all, but our special teams cannot lose this week. We need good field position. We need to make sure we are pinned and playing with our backs against our goal line the whole game, like Iowa. We're going to need our coverage units to show up, which they have been. Also, huge shout out, Peyton Schaefer. So happy you're back, man. You're one of my favorite players out there on specials, just flying down the field. So happy you're back after, a long injury layoff. So that's good news.
Happy he's back. Happy Hunter Dustman, man. His kickoffs have been excellent. They've either fair caught him or we pinned him back deep or they've been touchbacks. It's been excellent to see him kick off because he's taken all the kicking duties. That's a big responsibility. So I just want to shout him out again because you don't really see that much more in college kicking nowadays.
Yep. Brad, this is what we're talking about. Bradley Koenig. Yep. We'll see. That's funny. All right. Let's do
predictions. Into garage time, Matt?
Yeah, right. No, we're good. Let's do first. We don't have a sponsor for this segment, so let's shout out the FCS Fans Nation podcast network, which we're a part of. And if you want to learn more about the other FCS podcasts and FCS programs across the country and conferences, tune in to these other awesome podcasts that are part of the FCS Fans Nations. Dustin Helton, who comments here, runs one called the WAC Sun that's specifically focused on the WAC and Sun.
Not the Sun Belt. So
no, not the Sun Belt. Chad, jump in here. The
Atlantic
whatever. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Chad. All right, Dustin. Sorry about that.
That's just some conference bias from us Valley folks. Do want to shout out the Valley this weekend. We were getting some shade thrown at us because we did have some, we were teetering on some performances that were subpar, but the Salukis, the Fighting Water Dogs out of Carbondale, Illinois,
Yeah.
They took down Northwestern, the Nerds from
Yep.
Chicago.
Yep.
They took an L first 2 games of the year, then got off the schneid, beating a Big Ten foe. Excellent to see. Then you had obviously Missouri State. We've been talking about this entire game or this entire pod. Their game with Arkansas, exceptional all the way down to the wire with like 5 minutes left. That game was in question. So Missouri Valley stronger, I think, than people thought after the first 2 weeks of the year.
And you can't forget USD taking down the mighty Cal Poly. So good job, guys. Way to take down that juggernaut.
Trying to figure out what offense they're going to run post triple option days, the worst offense ever devised by man. And then obviously, not only them, the Undies, they got an unexpected win. So they're doing better than I think people thought they might against Northern Arizona. Yep. So I feel like I'm forgetting one. The self-absorbed team. They lost this past weekend, but it's okay because they intended to lose because it was going to be better off for them in the long run.
Yeah, now they're motivated. Motivated.
Now
all right. So let's talk about predictions here. So my offensive player of the game is the 605 Hogs. They got to own the line of scrimmage. We got to be able to run the ball and keep away from Shelley. So
I agree, man. That's mine too. If they don't dominate and own their 111th, then the game will be in question. And then from there, it becomes who makes the fewest mistakes, in my opinion, or who makes the biggest plays. And I don't want to bet on that one because I think Mark's a little bit still trying to knock the rust off. And I think Jason Shelley is finding his stride. So it's going to be really interesting this week. 605 Hogs got to get it done.
Hey, there we go. Defensively, I'm taking Caleb Sanders. I think he could really make a mess of Missouri State's offensive line. They're already kind of a mess, and Sanders is going to really push that pocket onto Shelley as long as our edges don't get too far upfield. That's my biggest concern. So
yeah, if Caleb can dent the pocket, I think that's going to be a real game changer. If he can wreak havoc like he has throughout the course of this season already, this short 3-game season, just denting the pocket like he has. I mean, I had to reach out to Matt. I had to reach out to Sam Herder because I was shocked at how little pub this guy has gotten. It just shows that outside of Sam Herder, I don't know how many people at the FCS level really do their due diligence, because Caleb was on one All-American list, I think. And if you just watch his film going back to, I want to say like late sophomore year, early junior year, all he's done is disrupt backfields. And I think Dallas, the D lineman himself, has described it being very difficult to be as dominant a player as Caleb Sanders, show up in the stat sheet, and then in some games not show up in the stat sheet, but still be as dominant as he was. So really want to keep an eye on him. If you like defensive football, watch Caleb Sanders and Adam Bach. They're exciting.
Yeah. All right. Score predictions. We have some score predictions coming in. I'm going to let you go first, Kyle.
All right. So I'm going to say, oh boy, this is a tough one because I think matchup wise, it's tough. It could be a run for the hills and everybody's just scoring left and right. Or it could be, just banging your knee up against the wall constantly. I'm going to go somewhere in the middle. 24-31 Jacks.
Okay. All right. I'm writing these down again for next week so we can check our work. I'm going to go a little higher scoring. Imagine that. I'm going 35-27 Jackrabbits.
That's a good one. I like that as well. I was teetering on that. I just hope our defense shows up a little bit better.
Yeah, there we go. Well,
if defense can travel, we're getting this dub.
Yep, exactly. All right. Ron, you're funny. You got out the jokes every week. Dustin, all right. Dustin picking the Jacks. Good. There we go. Jordan. Ooh, Jordan believes in the defense. He thinks this is going to be a little more defensive battle.
Jordan, let's go, man.
All right. Well, cool. Any last words, Kyle? Anything you want to share?
Should we give our prediction of defensive player of the game?
Yeah, I said Caleb Sanders.
Oh, Caleb Sanders.
Oh,
I just was kind of segueing and agreeing with you.
got it.
I think I don't know that I'm going to go Caleb. I think it's going to have to be from a second level defender this week. I'm going to go Kale Reeder if he's healthy. He has got to step up and make big plays from the safety position. Either one of our safeties, but I like how Kale plays. Just being heady. He's a hitter. Let's keep him on the field though. No potential, targeting penalties this week.
Yeah, right. No doubt. All right, Dustin, Dustin Perman again, 21-17 Jacks. All right. So some lower scoring games than what I thought. So we'll see. We'll see. All right, everyone. We have some exciting stuff this week. Again, I'll be retweeting Wyatt Wheeler's stuff from Missouri State, but if you want to follow along, he's their best source. I'll probably give a shout out to all the Valley writers that you should be following if you want to learn more about our conference foes. But Wyatt's the best at Missouri State, and he's pretty darn funny. He has some spam bots that he reposts stuff with, so it's always good for a laugh there. All right, with that, go big, go blue, go Jacks.
Go Jacks.